As the new parliamentary term takes shape, uh, what key legislative priorities will the opposition be pushing for? And what issues do you believe deserve urgent national attention?
I can say, yeah, there's some critical issues that I have observed. I think that Parliament moved away from being the people-centered Parliament it should be. That's within our vision, to be a people-centered Parliament. But honestly, we have not been people-centered. The kind of laws that we pass, oppressive towards the people, the issues that have concern to the people never come through. That when we are legislating and saying, okay, this is what the people are saying, that's when they will deploy the military, SFC will enter Parliament, beat up people, and so on. So we veered off. I hope that the new leadership of Parliament will get the institution back on track. That Parliament will know that it's accountable to the people, not to the executive. By the way, the executive is the one that's accountable to the legislature. But Parliament had become a rubber stamp. Whatever the executive wants will pass. Whether it be that they will deploy security to beat up people, they will do so. Whether it be that they will dish out money, they will call them to State House, to Chankwanzi, to wherever, and give them money, and then the executive gets to have its way. That has got to change if sanity is to return to the August House.
Away from Parliament, there is a growing perception among critics that the opposition currently appears weak and less influential than many Ugandans expected. How do you assess the current state of the opposition?
What's for sure is that there have been challenges, and we have been swimming against the tide. But I believe that's our formidability, challenges notwithstanding, is what has caused this regime to become a lot more brutal, to pass laws targeting opposition, political parties, targeting individuals, and so on. You don't do that to somebody who is weak. So because we have tried to stay the course and the population has also been up in arms, that's why the regime often operates in panic mode. Are there challenges? Without a doubt. Without a doubt that not everybody who says they're opposition, they're truly opposition. That's not true. And that's why after a short while you see a number of them crossing over. So there will be those masqueraders as one of the challenges. Mr. Museveni will many times throw money. Even at the opposition side, you had some of the quarrels we were having in Parliament. That money is dished out, and then some opposition MPs are picking this money to Yusoto Hakagabo and others. So yes, there are those challenges, but I think for me, what's been instructive is that the population has remained united.
Right now, one of the political talks in town is the transition. And we see different political movements like the PLU at the center stage of all this. As the opposition that represents this sect of people, what are your plans to counter this transition?
The reality is that Uganda has been under family rule for the last 40 years. And that's the quandary we have got to deal with. And that is why family members of Mr. Museveni are more powerful than people who hold high positions. The vice president is number 2. But when she's summoned by Salim Saleh, General Salim Saleh, who is simply a senior presidential advisor, she will go running to Gulu. The speaker will go running, the prime minister, and so on. Sometimes his family members, the CDF, who is low ranking, but he will deploy the speaker or deputy speaker, go and represent me at a function. But he's supposed to salute this person. But because these people also know, powerful as the positions they occupy might be, they are simply workers of the first family. And that's why they oblige very easily. Because they know that the family is literally the one in charge. And that's very problematic. Now you see the CDF. He goes on Twitter and says, we have fired this one. Now we are appointing this one. Which is even illegal because he's a serving military officer. But he's the one saying, we have appointed this one. Now this is the one that I want. And then you see all the NRM MPs saying, okay, now we are going with you. Now this is the one. Then they will change. Now, it's a very sad reality. We need to, as a country, disentangle ourselves from this because it's precarious.
The NUP has often been accused of struggling to harmonize the wider opposition front and sustain the expectations of the citizenry yearning for political change. Do you believe the party has lived up to its expectations? those expectations particularly?
You see, like I've told you a number of times, as we are fighting with Mr. Museveni and his system, the other hand is, is flexing with some of the parties we call opposition parties. Because they're in bed with him, they've signed MOUs with him. Do you expect those on your side? No, they will not work, with you. The people who were pushing and saying, this lope here is making too much noise about corruption, let's boot him out. Who are leading the charge? It is some opposition fellows. So that's not unexpected. Be that as it may, again, it doesn't mean that we don't operate well with other political parties. You've seen us hold functions together, we visit them, they visit us, we engage, and so on. And we've got a good, cordial working relationship. Yes, we keep pushing in the right direction, but challenges are in place. And for me, the unity that I'm most interested in is the unity of the people of Uganda in pushing for change. Unity of opposition political parties is good, but I know that sometimes it might not be achievable.
As Parliament prepares to constitute accountability committees, how is the NUP positioning itself to avoid disagreements and political fallouts? I mean, in the 11th Parliament, we saw disagreement between the then Speaker, Anita Among and Zake, which led to his impeachment, and the replacement was Matthias Mpuga, whom the party who fell out with the party. So how are you prepared for this?
No, but what you're calling fallout is because we stood on our 2 feet and said this is corruption, we shall not entertain it. And then people said we are bad, we are hounding an individual. I hope that, by the way, he also gets to be investigated. That whole commission. Yes, not just Anita Among. She was the leader of that cartel, but the entire cartel has got to be investigated. People who sat and they were awarding themselves money. How? And then they did it again. Because in November of last year, I called the press conference at Parliament and I said I've got information that these commissioners have given themselves more money. Why? Because nothing happened to them the first time, so they did it again. All those fellows have got to be investigated. So when NUP took a stand and said, no, this is corruption, we shall not entertain it, some people said we are fighting an individual. The same way they kept saying I am fighting Anita Among the individual. I said, no, I'm talking about the corruption, the gross misappropriation of taxpayer money. That was the issue of concern. So anyone who will behave that way will be treated in similar manner. It does not matter who. So we are not apologetic for that. But the other fallouts you're talking about, Speaker hounding Honorable Zake, hounding me, they kept trying to do that, including even bringing a bill to target me, the individual. The remedy to that is sober leadership. That whoever gets to be Speaker of Parliament needs to know that you are leader of the entire House. Each side has its leader. The NRM side has got a lead of government business. The opposition side has got a lead of the opposition. You as Speaker, you're supposed to be leader of us all. That's what I kept reminding Anita Among about. I would say, but Madam Speaker, you seem to project yourself as leader of only one side. You're suffocating this other side. We are your members too. You're supposed to be our leader. You are supposed to accommodate everybody.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for sparing time to speak to NTV.
Thank you.